Welcome to Karador, the undead zombie lord. Hope you're excited. As far as our opening hand goes, man, I'd love this if we didn't have coffers in our hand. Yeah, I think we're going to have to mulligan on this one. If we had another land, I'd be tempted to keep. But since we're on the play, yeah, let's go and mulligan on this. And then, yes, hey, Kodama's Reach. We'll still take that Temple of Sight. Yes, this is perfect. We're going to keep on this and see what the scry is. Do we want to leave Swamp on top? Now, since we have Kodama's Reach, I think let's go and put that on the bottom. And that way we can lead off with Temple of Silence and get another scry. That way, hopefully, we can put at least some sort of creature on top of our life. Ooh, Grizzly Salvage. Oh, yes. Definitely put that on top. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Karador, Ghost Chieftain. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Then, during each of your turns, you may cast 1 creature card from your graveyard. Playing its MRB. I've tried to pronounce her name before, and it's not pretty. Does not look good, or does not sound good. So, MRB is just going to be MRB for the rest of the video. MRB does not untap during your untap step, and then tap, gain control of target creature for as long as you control MRB. And I think you basically just kind of keep her tapped. Let's go Bloodstained Mire. And let's go and grab a green source off this Bloodstained Mire. Let's go and grab a black-green source. Let's get this popped out so I do not click on the wrong land. Let's grab Bayou. And we're going to go for a Grizzly Salvage right now, just main phase, because, you know, if we run into a counter spell, I'd hate... Ooh, Ancient Tomb, yes. I will definitely take that. So let's grab Ancient Tomb, and, you know, that's one of the fun things about playing Karador is you can dump these creatures into the graveyard and just kind of save them for later. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsor, MTGOTraders. If you want to get into Eternal Magic, whether it's Commander, Legacy, or even something like Modern, hop in there. MTGOTraders will be a good card source for you. And also shout out to inkgaming.com if you're in the market for a custom playmat. Use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order and help the channel out at the same time. If you can't remember coupon code JOLT, just click on the link down in the description below. That should apply the coupon to whatever you get. And also, I started a Patreon too, so if you'd like to check out the Patreon, I've got a couple different tiers set up, and no pressure to do that. It's there if you want to do it. That's kind of how I approach it. So we did hit Ancient Tomb off of this Grizzly Salvage, so let's go and go for Graveborn Muse. We might be running into some sort of spot removal from our opponent, but at this point right now, we want to be pretty aggressive. We want to cash in some card draw as quickly as possible, and Graveborn Muse is certainly a zombie spirit. But we've covered commanders, sponsors. It is officially free time. We can have some fun. Now, as far as this deck goes, this is pretty much, cancels Judgment. Okay, that's fine. We can make that work. And let's see what we draw into. Draw into Swords to Plowshare. So, and let's kind of just double check Karador. We're looking at 6 total mana for Karador at this point right now. So let's go Volraz Stronghold. And I think at this point, I really, no, excuse me, I forgot that Will of the Council's Judgment exiles that card, if that's correct. Yeah, so that is exiled, so we actually can't bring it back with Volraz Stronghold. So let's go Orzhov Signet. That's going to be 1/2. And then we can actually go Metallic Mimic off of Orzhov Signet. That way we're not taking any damage off of Ancient Tomb. We're going to name Zombie on this, 100%. Name Zombie, then anything else, kick it back over to our opponent. So they can get down MRB. They do have the mana available now to get her down. At least we do have Swords to Plowshare to take care of her. Now, as far as this deck goes, this is pretty straightforward, just kind of zombie tribal. You know, it's kind of, it's not necessarily like a traditional Karador build, but, you know, there's a lot of times where maybe we end up going for something like Costly Plunder or Altar's Reap, and we're going to sacrifice some of our creatures to get some card draw. And being able to kind of keep bringing these zombies back out of the graveyard is such a good feeling. You know, other things like Grizzly Salvage, being able to bring back a zombie lord, just kind of keeping it off to the side, is another way for us to kind of build up a board state. But other than that, there's nothing too crazy. I am running Entreat the Dead in here, so if we can get Entreat the Dead going, I am really excited about that. Let's go Scrubland. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that should be just enough. Yeah, that's going to be just enough for Karador. So I think at this point, if we're trying to establish any sort of an advantage on our side, I think we need to go for Karador. Yeah, let's go Karador, especially where our opponent's tapped out. All right, so we're going to get down Karador. Let's go for Swords to Plowshare on MRB. And the good thing about Swords is they're going to gain life. They're not going to get an extra land. Now, they may... Okay, I was worried about them having some sort of force of will. Let's go and push in for 2, and then knock our opponent down to 27 and kick it back over there. So, next turn, we do at least have Wood Elves coming out of the graveyard if we want to go for that. We do have Lord of the Accursed. probably end up going for Lord of the Accursed just to get down some sort of zombie, and at the same time still get an additional +1 counter on it. We are completely hellbent. We have no cards in the hand, so I'd definitely love to see some sort of card advantage, some sort of card draw. And that's the only downside about the council deciding that Graveborn Muse was not fit for this world, because you get down Graveborn Muse and a zombie, it is a little hectic sometimes. You get down Graveborn Muse and you draw X cards and lose XI for X the number of zombies you control. You get some pretty good card draw, but if you're not careful, you can end up with a lot of zombies on the battlefield, and that'll kind of may not bode too well for you. So our opponent ends up going for Dismember. That's going to send Karador back to the command zone. And let's see what we draw into for the turn. Ooh, that is absolutely what we wanted to see. Let's go and push in for 2. That's going to put them down to 22. And if you came for a Metallic Mimic beatdown, boy, have we got the video for you. We've got it in like 11 more turns. Let's go for Knight's Whisper. And I think we're going to tap down Volrath's Stronghold. I don't really think there's really anything that we want to go for right now. So let's see if this does stick. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we can get this Knight's Whisper to stick. If they do have counter magic, so be it. That'll at least kind of clear the way for Karador at a later turn. So let's see what they're tapping out for. Okay, so we are going to get that to stick. We go Catacombs, and then with Flashback Marauder, I think what we're going to do is if our opponent's going to get down their 5th mana source, go for their, actually let's get their commander pop back up, but they're going to end up going for their commander. That's going to be them completely tapping out. That's really going to clear the way for us to go for Flashback Marauder, and I think at this point what we'll probably want to do is just basically just get Flashback into the graveyard, because once you get down Karador and you can really start sacrificing with Flashback, that's it's kind of like Muldrotha. You end up with it's just... When you just have a repeated source out of the graveyard, something like Flashback, that is some really good magic. Okay, opponent's going to go for Jace the Mind Sculptor. And they're going to go for the Brainstorm ability off of Jace. So it looks like they're trying to dig for a land. That was probably the option that they went for with Vampiric Tutor. So that at least kind of clear the way for Karador Ghost Chieftain to come down. And then once we need to crack this fetch just to go and get that land onto the battlefield. We'll grab one of our lands that comes into play untapped. So let's go and crack Catacombs. And I think we're going to, Temple Gardens are going to work out fine. So we're not going to pay 2 life. We'll have that come into play tapped. And let's see what we draw into. Ooh, draw into Vampiric Tutor. Okay, so let's double check Karador. That's going to be 8 total mana. So that's going to be just enough for Karador, and I think I kind of like going for that. They can go for the -1 to bounce it back, and I think that's going to be perfectly fine. Yeah, let's go for that. So let's swing a Metallic Mimic at Jace the Mind Sculptor. And we're playing against our opponent, Lara Bia. They tend to have some really good decks, some really good 1 versus 1 commander decks. So whenever we play against this particular opponent, it's always always ends up being a pretty fun match. So you know what, let's just go and get down Karador at this point. And we could have gone for Vampiric Tutor, but at this point right now, getting down Karador, that's going to be something that they're going to have to use the -1 on Jace to send it back to the hand. That's going to get rid of Jace. And at the same time, it's also going to allow us to get some sort of, maybe some sort of removal from our opponent onto Karador. He's kind of just basically a bait at this point right now. If we can untap with Karador, you know, we do still have Lord of the Accursed coming out of the graveyard. But at this point right now, we just wanted to go and get him down just to kind of see if the coast is clear yet for our opponent. I know they're going to be drawing into a ton of cards with Jace, so at this point right now, sorry about that, my phone, normally I put it on vibrate, didn't realize it went on vibrate, but yeah, so at this point, we definitely want to take care of Jace, and they're definitely going to get some really good card advantage, so if we can get them to tap out and try to deal with Karador, then that'll kind of clear the way for Vampiric Tutor, and I'm not entirely sure exactly what we want to grab just yet. We could end up going for something like Buried Alive if we want to try to set up a really nice zombie board state. But I think at this point, let's just try to swing in and take care of Jace and see if that's going to get any sort of action out of her. Ooh, Vengeful Dead. Okay, so we do have 8 total mana. So I think at this point, let's go and go for Lord of the Accursed out of the graveyard. That's going to give us a really nice bonus to Metallic Mimic, and then do we want to tap out for Vengeful Dead? Let's wait and do that on the second main phase. So let's go and push a Metallic Mimic at Jace, and we're going to swing Karador at Jace too. We're doing this for 2 reasons. You know, if our opponent has some sort of unsummon spell, I would hate to lose the option of getting rid of Jace. So at this point, we're going to send in both at Jace, just in case they have some sort of bounce spell, because we need to get rid of that card draw. And let's go for Vengeful Dead, and this is going to work out perfectly, because that's going to allow us to grab leave us open for Vampiric Tutor. And then if our opponent doesn't have a board wipe, at least we're getting down the Vengeful Dead Blood Artist zombie, essentially. This is basically, that's why I love Vengeful Dead. Whenever a Vengeful Dead or another zombie dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is kind of one of those cool cards that you can run in your zombie deck that also fits in here with the Shepherd of Rot, which is one of my favorite, actually my favorite zombie card, because it really allows you to be really aggressive with your life total. Opponent's going to go for Logic Knot for 2. And that's okay, because we can just recast it out of the graveyard, and that's one of the strengths of, no, we're not going to pay for that, that's okay. That'll go into the graveyard. Now, if we wanted to get a little bit aggressive or kind of jam our opponent's play during their upkeep, we could end up going, well, actually, they're going to tap out right now, and then we're just going to jam a Vampiric Tutor in response. So let's go for Vampiric Tutor right now. And let's get this popped out, and let's see what's really going to help us out. Now, this would be a very, very risky play if we end up going for Elesh Norn, but that's going to completely shut off our opponent's commander and just make it extremely hard for them to close it out. I think we need to go Elesh Norn. They're going to see it come from a while away. They've only got 3 cards left in their hand, and we didn't really see any sort of action on Karador. So if they have any sort of spot removal, yeah, let's go for that. I really like getting down Karador. Not Karador, getting down Elesh Norn. So we can grab Elesh Norn, that's going to go on top of our library, and we get that down next turn. That's going to give our opponent's creatures -2/-2. But yeah, this Karador deck is basically just zombie tribal, green-black zombie tribal with... we do have Wayward Servant in here. That is the black-white zombie in here. We also have Tidehollow Sculler, because that with Tidehollow, you can actually kind of end up with a pretty cool interaction where you sacrifice different things to kind of get a permanent exile effect. But for the most part, this is basically a straight-up Golgari zombie list. We've even got a lot of Troll and Putrid Leech in here hanging out. So that's another kind of fun way, but also, you know, it's basically zombie tribal with Elesh Norn as the ultimate zombie tribal lord out there. Now, ooh, okay, so our opponent's going to pass the turn. Man, I think we still go for Elesh Norn. If they have an answer, they've got an answer. And I know this is going to be a lot tapping out for that, but yeah, we're fine with that. Okay, so we're going to go for Elesh Norn. If they've got a counterspell, they've got 3 cards left, so be it. And if we can get this to stick, this is going to be a really good tempo swing for us. And make sure that MRB is not a pain in our side. All right, so we're going to get that to go through. That's going to push in for 15. Now, that does allow them to swing in on the back end with Wrath. Oh, are we playing into a Settle the Wreckage or Aether Spouts? That might be an Aether Spouts. Okay, so opponent's gonna flash in the Scarab God. Okay, I always forget that you can flash in historic spells. All right, so yeah, that's a thing. I'm not usually used to seeing him just come flying in like that. So we're gonna see the Scarab God block. They can always recast it if they want to, but thankfully, whenever the Scarab God comes down, it's gonna be stuck at a -3. It's gonna be stuck with -2/-2. So it's really gonna clear the way for us to swing in with some of our zombies. Okay, so they're going to block on Karador. That's going to allow us to get in for 10, and that's going to send the Scarab God back to... Actually, they're going to leave it into the graveyard, so... Oh, no, excuse me, they'll go back at the next end step, so they'll at least go back into the hand. Now, if they do end up swinging with Wrath, we do have an interesting line of play. To prevent the Scarab God from being flashed in, we can actually just straight up just go for Fleshbag Marauder, get it down, make them sacrifice Wrath, and that'll kind of prevent the Scarab God from coming down. That will end up being 5 mana they have to cast, but... I think I kind of like going for that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go Fleshbag Marauder, because what we can do, we go Fleshbag, and if they flash it in response to that, then we can just basically just recast it out of the graveyard. So let's go Fleshbag Marauder. Okay, they're going to have to sacrifice a creature. We're going to go and sacrifice Fleshbag. Oh no! Cataclysmic Gearhulk. When it enters the battlefield, each player chooses an artifact, creature, or enchantment they control, then sacrifices the rest. Okay, so that's that's going to enter the battlefield. Let's see who they decide to choose with Cataclysmic Gearhulk. And I think at this point we just keep Karador, because this is basically going to be a base 4/5, or if we want to just basically get the beat sticks going with Elesh Norn. Yeah, I think we just keep Karador. Yeah, let's keep Karador, because if we end up keeping, and then we'll keep Orzhov Signet, so we keep Karador, and that's going to allow us to at least recast Fleshbag out of the graveyard and get rid of Cataclysmic Gearhulk, and that'll at least kind of... Now, it does kind of put our opponent in the spot to where they can... Oh, and excuse me. We have to sacrifice Karador. Make sure I read that right. Okay, so that's going to leave Raph left on the battlefield. Let's check. Yeah, I guess I kind of misread that actual interaction. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can still recast Karador. Let's go Karador. Okay, so we're going to get down Karador, and there's nothing else we can cast. We're simply just going to go and pass the turn. I'm trying to figure out with that Cataclysmic Gearhulk. I would have thought that they would have had to leave one more creature, be left with just one creature on the battlefield instead of holding on to Raph, but maybe I just misread something. Anyway, we're at this point in the game, so with Raph on the battlefield, that still allows them to flash in the Scarab God. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thankfully, they're not going to have enough for another activation off of the Scarab God, and that does put us in a spot to where we can at least bring back Elesh Norn back out of the graveyard, and thankfully with Cataclysmic Gearhulk being down there, we don't have to worry about that coming back out, or at least going back to their hand anymore either. All right, now opponent's actually going to get down to Fairy, so let's get the MRB kind of popped up. Oh, bummer. All right, so we could have at least recast this. We're going to swing in for 3. That's going to knock us down to 6. And then we draw into Mana Crypt, which is not exactly what we want to see. But I think at this point, we just need to get down Karador. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to have to end up... We can get down Mana Crypt, and this is not going to be a lot of fun. But we need to do what we need to do. So let's go Mana Crypt, and let's go Karador. And this is going to be a little tight on our life total. All right, so we're going to bring Karador back out. That still gives us the opportunity to go for Fleshbag Marauder again, just to get rid of Raph, because we really need to get rid of that flying from Raph, because that will really attack our life total. Now, we are staring down 3 damage from Mana Crypt if the flip doesn't go our way, but at least we'll go and sacrifice Fleshbag. And I'll put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and I think with the Scarab God... I can't remember if it's, I'm pretty sure it's a 4-mana activation, so that would basically be their entire turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they have to hit another, then they go hit the command tower to get that down. Okay, so the Scarab God's going to come down, yes, and it is a 4-mana activation, so if they end up going for Fleshbag Marauder, that will definitely allow them to make us get rid of Karador. And let's see, oh no. We get hit with Raph, and yeah, we're going to sacrifice a creature, and that's going to leave the Scarab God out there. Let's see what we rip into. During our upkeep, we can put a creature on top of our library, but I don't know if if there's anything that we can put on top that's really going to help us out. Okay, so they're going to be able to untap 2 lands. Let's see what else we draw into. Yeah, we'll go and choose tails on this one. Let's choose, come on. All right, so we want the flip. Okay, so we stabilize it for, not stable. Ooh. Okay, Living Death. So unfortunately with Cataclysmic Gearhulk, okay. Yeah, I guess we just end up going for it. I mean, that's going to bring back Cataclysmic Gearhulk. Enters the battlefield, each player chooses an artifact, creature, enchantment. I mean, that is a good top deck. So yeah, let's just go and go for it. Can't believe we top decked a Living Death. So let's tap this down. And we'll see if they have any sort of counter magic. But at least, I think we can... That Cataclysmic Gearhulk, I don't know. Usually, probably our opponent's going to get it on this one. But at least we're going to end up with a pretty cool interaction of top decking Living Death. That'll at least also get rid of the Scarab God too. So we don't have to worry about the Scarab God anymore making copies of creatures. Alright, so we're going to choose Zombie for the Metallic Mimic. And then I guess at this point, if we want to keep our opponent down, we're going to have to choose Elesh Norn. And then we're going to choose Orzhov Signet, because that way we can also get rid of the Mana Crypt too. We don't have to worry about losing to that. Oh, okay, so we're going to get the Vengeful Dead triggers. Okay, I'm sorry. I completely forgot that Cataclysmic Gearhulk was an artifact, so we're going to get those Vengeful Dead. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm sorry for the weird commentary. I was just really perplexed as to how our opponent was keeping Cataclysmic Gearhulk on the battlefield. Let's grab ourselves Savannah. And then anything else? No, we're going to go and pass there. Okay, so that makes... I'm sorry about that. So with Cataclysmic Gearhulk, I was really thrown for a loop earlier. One of the hard things about doing commentary and thinking that you know how a card works a certain way and then it doesn't, and then trying to carry on with the game is one of the hardest things to do, and I completely forgot that Cataclysmic Gearhulk was an artifact creature, so that's how they're able to keep Cataclysmic Gearhulk and Raph on the battlefield. If you heard a meow, that was Dorothy. She was getting on to me. She said, you should have known Cataclysmic Gearhulk was an artifact. So they're going to be swinging in for 1 that's going to knock us down to 3. And I'm trying to figure, do we want to put something on top with Volrath's Stronghold? There's not really much we can do out of the graveyard. Lord of the Accursed. We can still end up going for Karador. But either way, this has been a pretty good little match. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense earlier because I was just so confused by that and then why they got to keep that. But yeah, it looks like our opponent's going to get it on this one because between the Scarab God and Elish Norn, I don't know if we can just rebuild an entire army. I mean, even if we put something like Vengeful Dead on top of our library, that's still going to keep them from swinging in. I think we need to at least get that down. Yeah, I'm not wild about that, but at least... All right, so let's think about this. So if we end up going for Volrath's Stronghold, that's going to force them to go for some sort of activation off the Scarab God, I would assume. So you know what? Let's go and grab Metallic Mimic. That'll at least be another creature on the battlefield that we can trade with some of these other creatures. Then if they want to go for the Scarab God activation, they certainly can. So let's do this. So let's go for Volrath's Stronghold on Metallic Mimic, and let's see if that's going to get the Scarab God activation. If not, and then next turn we can go for Vengeful Dead. Okay, either way, I think we're fine with the Metallic Mimic coming down, just to be a chump blocker. Alright, so let's go Metallic Mimic, and also with us having an open Volrath Stronghold, that also puts us in a position where we can also kind of have a proactive Scarab God, to where we can keep it to where they're not going to get a creature at our end step. So let's simply just go ahead and pass the turn, and then, yeah, this has been pretty good. So let's see, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Dragon Lord Ojatai. Okay, good game. That was a good game by our opponent. Sorry about that mix-up earlier. You know, like I mentioned, it's like, you know, I have good commentary flowing, and the next thing you know, it just kind of derails me when I'm like, I thought a certain interaction worked a certain way. But good game to our opponent. Always end up having a really good game against our opponent. And that's going to be exactly lethal. We have nothing to deal with these creatures in the air. You can kind of get a feel for what we're going for with this deck. But unfortunately, we got hit with the Wrath MRB Esper Legendary deck. And this is pretty cool. Pretty cool showing by our opponent. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.